Okay, so up to this point, I've given you lists of things to buy, taught you the finer points of triathlon language, but I have yet to give you any real practical knowledge about bikes. Mainly because I haven't felt totally comfortable giving advice when I'm far from being an expert. I mean, I get by fine on my own, but I shouldn't be sharing my practices with the world because they are far from the best. Now, although he himself denies that he's an expert, I asked my buddy Michael to help show us the proper way to wash a bike, because he knows more about bikes than most people I know, and his bikes are always in top condition. Honestly, this was really good for me too, because I had cobbled together how to wash my bike from 10 different YouTube videos, and my method turned out to be ridiculously complicated and a little bit intimidating. So we washed a couple of his bikes over the weekend, and it turns out that although I wasn't doing it the wrong way, there was a better way to go about washing a bike.
Hello!
Who's
Come in!
Oh, thank you! So who is this?
This is Louie.
Louie, and then who is this?
This is Ella.
Hello, Ella. She's so wiggly. We're gonna clean some bikes?
Let's clean some bikes.
So the first thing that you're going to want to do after you get your bike up on a stand or leaning against something like a tree or the side of the house is get it wet. Hose it down well, but you don't need to hit it hard with anything like a power washer because you don't want to be forcing water into any of the tiny holes on your bike. So is there anywhere that we need to avoid getting wet? Like, do we need to try to make sure that we don't get...
If, for example, you had one of your water bottle holder screws out and you got water in there, I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't realize this. You actually have a drain hole usually underneath of your bike.
Okay.
So the water's going to have a place to drain.
That's good.
And I mean, while this is flipped up, it might not drain properly.
Yeah.
But when I set it down, any water that's inside of it is going to be drained out.
That's great.
Now, if you do have a hole, I would recommend plugging it quickly because any of that water that's going to go through there has a chance to get into your bottom bracket as well.
Okay.
And that's going to require some service if you don't plug that hole.
Once it's nice and wet, you can start degreasing the drivetrain, which is comprised of the chain, cassette, front and rear derailleurs, and chain rings.
Super cheap hack that everybody needs to get.
Oh, yeah,
a dummy hub.
Okay. So what does a dummy hub do?
It basically holds tension on your chain,
Okay.
allowing me to remove the back wheel and cassette out of the system.
Okay.
It's a vertical dropout,
Okay.
so mine is
That's awesome.
pretty easy. I'm gonna get a little messy here.
So, if you don't mind, I'd love to show up close, like, how to get this on and off.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, everybody is probably familiar with the way that the levers work. So this actually will just sit in your dropout.
Okay, so you're gonna put it underneath the top part of the chain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll put it underneath the top part of the chain.
Okay.
Put it into the dropout and then
Okay.
clamp it down.
Cool. That's pretty easy. And that's basically the same way when you put your wheel back on, you're gonna put your cassette under the top part of the chain, bring it up, pop it up into here, and then clamp it down. It's the exact same thing, right?
Yep, exactly.
If you would like me to do a deep dive on how to take your back wheel off and put it back on, type back wheel down in the comments and I'll make a video showing you how to do it. It's something that's more important than just washing your bike. If you get in a flat situation, you need to be able to do that. And so what are you using for your degreaser?
This is gonna sound like I'm sponsored, but I like Muck Off brand.
Okay.
So everything I have to clean with is usually Muck Off brand. So
Okay.
the Muck Off brand drivetrain cleaner.
Cool.
Fantastic. Really, with the degreaser, just get it anywhere that you've had chain lube before.
Okay.
And let it work through for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna do the same thing over to my cassettes.
Okay.
All right, so while that is working, gross chain brush,
Okay.
which is really easy to clean with. Just put it right on the dummy hub and spin through.
Oh yeah, that's
I also like to spin through backwards,
okay.
the other way. And this is really doing the outside of the chain. I like to get the inside of the chain too, just like by kind of greasing it down.
Okay.
Just wiping it all off. And then I'll do the sides without putting too much pressure on it. And we'll do kind of the same thing with the wheel.
Okay.
Just give it a little bit of a...
Now back to washing. So tell me what this is.
All right, another muck off product.
Okay.
Bike wash, bike cleaner, generic, everything, just soap.
Now if we didn't have that, could we use like Dawn dish soap or something?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
But it won't smell as good as muck off.
Then take a rag or a sponge and wipe everything down.
Where all the sweat and gummy, dirty on a tri-bike with front-mounted hydration systems that have calories and sugary stuff in here, they're always going to leak, and so everything up in here is going to get really gross if you're not careful.
Now rinse everything off and dry your bike.
Looks good, looks wet, looks clean. Now the fun parts.
Now Michael is fancy and he has an air compressor. But I definitely don't have one of those, so...
Yes,
but
if you don't have an air compressor, I feel bad for you. You should totally buy an air compressor with like one of these guns because it makes it so much faster.
Yeah, I bet.
But one of the big reasons I use the air compressor is because you don't want to put lube on a wet chain, or you want your drivetrain to be completely dry before you put any lube on it.
Okay.
And so this really helps getting all of that water blown off.
The next step is to lubricate your chain again, since we've cleaned all of it off along with the dirt and the grime. Okay, so let's talk about what you like to use.
I like to use muck off.
Okay.
Because it's muck off and it smells good. And really, I've used a lot of different kind of lubes. Like wax lube is great. I really like the wax lube until you try to apply it in the dead of winter, because then it's going to come out of the bottle and harden before it even touches your chain.
Yeah.
So wax lube is great, but not during the winter.
Okay.
This one, it just seems like it's a little bit thicker. I can see it when it goes on because it's blue. This is also
that's great.
They make it in bright yellow as well, so you can really see where it's at.
Yeah.
So I do like that. Plus the fact that it's got like a really, really pointy kind of long nozzle applicator.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
I promise we really haven't been sponsored by Muck Off, although I have been converted, and I'll put a list to all of these products down in the description if you want to pick them up for yourself.
So we just shake it up.
All right.
And apply a very thin amount to each little link as it goes through.
Okay.
And I'm kind of looking where it's being fed from to see like when it's gone all the way through 1 or 2 cycles of light application. And then I like to do the same thing just to the inside.
Okay.
And this looks like it's gonna be a lot, but we're gonna wipe most of this off here in a second. We just want it to get worked in real quick. It'll turn to just a nice dull gray. I do like to kind of give it a few spins.
Okay.
Just let it work in. Forward and backwards.
Now, how often should you be cleaning your bike?
I probably wash my bike and lube the chain. At least the tri-bike gets done before every race, no matter what, big or small, before any major ride I'm doing. So if I'm gonna go out and do like a century ride, or even if it's a metric century, then I'll typically make sure the drivetrain is in good working condition. Otherwise, then every other week, at least I would try to do it like once a month. Because clean bikes are fast bikes. And by cleaning it, you also touch a lot of things, and you can notice things that you might not have noticed before, scratches or imperfections or if anything's not working quite right. So I'm not applying a lot of pressure here, just enough to wipe off any of the excess that is still hanging on to the outside, because an overly lubed chain is going to attract a lot of dirt.
Okay.
And that's gonna wear even faster than like a chain that has very little lube on it. So it looks fairly clean. It doesn't look like it's got much lube on it, but like if you run your finger on it, you can kind of see that it's slick and it has just a little bit of lube. Mm-hmm. And that's all we're looking for.
Okay.
That's it. Put the back tire back on, switch through some gears to make sure that everything works. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up too bad. I don't remember what gear I was in to begin with. I think it was around there.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be exact. It'll get there whenever we clamp it on. Clamp that down, give it a spin. I was 1 or 2 gears off. It wasn't that bad.
So let's review. Step 1, spray it down. Step 2, apply degreaser. Step 3, give the drivetrain a nice scrub. Step 4, apply soap and scrub the frame and hit the drivetrain with some soap when you're finished. Step 5, spray everything off. Step 6, dry everything off. Most importantly, making sure that your chain and cassette are nice and dry. Step 7, add lubricant to your chain and wipe off the excess. Okay, so if you're still a little overwhelmed, I get it. Once you wash your bike a couple of times though, I promise it won't be a big deal anymore. And I put time codes for each step in the description, so if you get stuck somewhere, you can just jump straight to it and not have to watch everything over again. Now, if I run into you at a race, I expect to see your bike sparkly clean, because a clean bike is a fast bike. Thanks so much to my buddy Michael for helping me out with this video. I'm certain you will be seeing more of him again in the future. Now, he only posts about twice a year, but if you want to follow him on Instagram, his handle is sometryguy. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with anyone you think might find it useful. As always, check back next week for a new video, and I will see you then. Okay.
But the most important thing is, like, we're getting the drivetrain clean. The frame needs to look pretty too, because pretty bikes go faster.
Is that a fact? Pretty bikes go faster?
It's science.
Oh, okay.